on DD India.
We are live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will participate in India's Techade chips for Viksit Bharat to also lay the foundation stone of 3 semiconductor projects worth about 1.25 lakh crore rupees. Nepal Prime Minister Pushkamal Dahal Prachanda to seek third vote of confidence on Wednesday requires minimum of 138 votes in the 275-member House of Representatives. Haiti readies for the formation of a transitional council after Prime Minister pledges to step down. US expects members to be appointed by Thursday. United Nations urges gangs to silence the guns. US President Biden wins enough delegates to seal nomination. Face-off against Trump looms as US all set for a first presidential election rematch in 70 years. All right, the top story this hour today is a special day in India's efforts to become a hub of semiconductors. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will participate in India's Techade chips for Viksit Bharat and lay the foundation stone of 3 semiconductor projects worth about $1.25 trillion via video conferencing. With the establishment of these 3 facilities, the semiconductor ecosystem will be strengthened and will get a firm footing in India. These units will also provide employment to thousands of youth in the semiconductor industry, as well as catalyze employment generation in related sectors like electronics, telecom, etc. On the occasion, the Prime Minister will also address the youth across the country. And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi had a telephone conversation with British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak on Tuesday. The leaders reaffirmed their commitment to continue to strengthen the bilateral comprehensive strategic partnership. They expressed satisfaction on the progress made under the Roadmap 2030 in diverse areas, including trade, investment, defense, security, emerging technologies, and others. They assessed positively the progress made towards early conclusion of a mutually beneficial free trade agreement. The 2 leaders also exchanged views on regional and global developments of mutual interest. Both leaders also exchanged greetings on the upcoming festive occasion of Holi. And moving on, India's President Draupadi Murmu, who is on a 3-day visit to Mauritius, will hold delegation-level talks with Prime Minister of Mauritius, Pravind Kumar Jugnauth today. President Murmu will also witness exchange of important bilateral agreements that seek to further strengthen the robust bilateral institutional collaboration and capacity-building cooperation between the 2 countries. President will undertake visits today to historical and cultural sites, including the Apravasi Ghat, where Indian indentured laborers first arrived in Mauritius, the Intercontinental Slavery Museum, and the sacred Ganga Talao. And New Zealand's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Winston Peters, who's currently on a 4-day official visit to India, met External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar in New Delhi on Tuesday and held a warm and productive meeting. The 2 sides agreed on enhancing our political, trade and economic, security, connectivity, mobility, education and people-to-people ties. Dr. Jaishankar also welcomed New Zealand joining the International Solar Alliance. Jaishankar and Peters also discussed cooperation in the Commonwealth and UNSC reform. They shared perspectives on the Indo-Pacific and global issues also. Well, a tri-service mega military exercise, Bharat Shakti, demonstrated the prowess of homemade defense equipment in the Pokhran Desert on Tuesday. Prime Minister Narendra Modi witnessed the integrated tri-service firepower and maneuver exercise and highlighted the importance of self-reliance and synergy among the armed forces amid the changing warfare landscape worldwide. Akshay Dongre reports for more.
Guns, tanks, artilleries and missiles shook the Thar desert of Rajasthan as India displayed its indigenous might and synergized demonstration of capabilities by the Indian Armed Forces in the form of a tri-services live fire and maneuver exercise in Pokhran, Rajasthan. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi witnessed the demonstration in Pokhran and highlighted the importance of self-defense and synergy among the armed forces amid the changing landscape of warfare around the globe.
आज हमारा पोखरण एक बार फिर भारत की आत्मनिर्भरता, भारत का आत्मविश्वास और भारत का आत्मगौरव, इस त्रिवेणी का साक्षी बना है। भारत, आज पूरा देश भारत शक्ति का ये उत्सव शौर्य की भूमि राजस्थान में हो रहा है, लेकिन इसकी गूंज सिर्फ भारत में ही नहीं, पूरी दुनिया में सुनाई दे रही है.
PM Modi also recounted India's journey in self-reliance in the past decade and said that if India has to develop, it must reduce reliance on others.
साथियों, कल ही भारत ने MIRV आधुनिक टेक्नोलॉजी से लैस लंबी दूरी की क्षमता वाली अग्नि 5 मिसाइल का परीक्षण किया है. दुनिया के बहुत ही कम देशों के पास इस तरह की आधुनिक टेक्नोलॉजी है, इस तरह की आधुनिक क्षमता है. ये डिफेंस सेक्टर में आत्मनिर्भर भारत की एक और बड़ी उड़ान है. इन 10 वर्षों में देश का रक्षा उत्पादन 2 गुना से भी ज्यादा यानी 1 लाख करोड़ रुपए से अधिक हो चुका है. पिछले 10 वर्षों में 150 से ज्यादा नए डिफेंस स्टार्टअप शुरू हुए हैं. इनको हमारी सेनाओं ने 1800 करोड़ रुपए का ऑर्डर देने का निर्णय लिया है. अब 5th जनरेशन लड़ाकू विमान भी हम भारत में ही डिजाइन, डेवलप और मैन्युफैक्चर करने वाले हैं.
India, that was the largest arms importer, is increasingly becoming a major arms exporter, showcasing the growing might of the Indian defense industry.
In the past few years, the world has seen that the first casualty of any global-scale war has been the global supply chain networks. And here in Pokhran, the Indian Armed Forces have exemplified their resolve to become a fully and truly self-reliant force and one with utmost synergy to thwart off any threats to the country. In Pokhran, Rajasthan, with camera person Mohit Uike, Akshay Dongre, DD India.
Well, the Bharat Shakti exercise tested tri-service firepower and showcased indigenous defense equipment. From the sleek light combat aircraft Tejas to the formidable T-90 tanks, the demonstration underscored India's growing emphasis on bolstering its defense capabilities through domestic innovation. DD India's Akshay Dongre has more on this.
We are right now in Pokhran, Rajasthan, where a massive tri-service military drill is taking place. And right now, where we are standing is the area of exhibition of static display of all the indigenous equipment that has been displayed and used today in the firing drill and other equipment as well. So as we can see, in this exhibition, from tanks to UAVs, to tech haulers, to light strike vehicles, everything is made in India. And this is perhaps one of the biggest shows that India has done or demonstrated as far as its indigenous might is concerned. Now let's start with a few equipment that is here, and it's not just the guns and the ammunition or the tanks, the usual weapons that we see in war, but also robotics. As you can see, there is a robotic mule here that has been parked. There is space technology, there is cyber technology, there is integrated air situation picture, there is command, control and surveillance. So from the start of the war to the end of the war, everything that is required in between, everything that is required for a modern military in today's modern warfare is being developed in India, and this has been the goal of the Indian Armed Forces, not just the Army or the Air Force or the Navy individually, but all the combined armed forces, to be self-reliant completely in true sense, from spares to the final loadout, final ammunition. India is now thriving to become a fully self-reliant force. Everything has been developed in India for Indians, and as far as different armies are concerned, especially of the developing world, countries that were earlier reliant on countries for their defense requirement are taking a cue from India, and the kind of display that is set up here as far as the indigenous capabilities are concerned for a better synergic operation by the Indian Armed Forces in any eventualities. With camera person Mohit Amakshi Dongre, DD India.
And India's Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Singh Thakur launched the first season of Swaraj on OTT platform Amazon Prime in Mumbai on Tuesday. Speaking on the occasion, the minister said, "Today is a moment of pride for us and a true tribute to all those unsung great heroes of our independence who sacrificed everything for the country." He informed that this serial was commissioned by taking inspiration from the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav national campaign of the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And Sri Lanka is keen to harness investments in renewable energy sector from India. Speaking at a business event in Colombo on Monday, Sri Lanka's Minister for Power and Energy, Kanchana Vijayasekara, elaborated on vast potential in renewable energy in Sri Lanka and invited Indian companies to invest in the sector. Both sides agreed to explore avenues for greater collaboration and innovation. And moving on, the SpaceX Crew 7 has completed a successful splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico in Florida at 9:50 GMT on Tuesday. The crew had spent 6 months aboard the International Space Station before their safe splashdown. The Crew 7 mission had launched on August 26, 2023 from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida on a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. With Crew 7's departure, the ISS is now manned by the 4 Crew 8 members along with Soyuz commander Oleg Konenko, cosmonaut Nikolai Chubb and NASA's Loral O'Hara. And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. The Chief Minister of Western State of Goa, Pramod Sawant, flagged off the first ever Goa-based airline, Fly 91, from Manohar International Airport. The airline's debut flight connects Goa to Agatti in Lakshadweep Islands. It aims to enhance connectivity to Tier 2 and 3 cities, aligning with Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision of promoting national tourism. India's Enforcement Directorate on Tuesday conducted searches at 17 places linked to member of Legislative Assembly Amba Prasad, her relatives and associates, eastern city of Ranchi. The raid comes as part of its money laundering investigation. The operation went on for 18 hours. In compliance to Supreme Court's direction, government-owned bank SBI supplied the electoral bond data to the Election Commission of India on Tuesday. The data will be collated and released by the Election Commission on their website, which has confirmed receipt of the data by Sunday as ordered by the top court. In a joint operation of Gujarat Anti-Terrorism Squad, Indian Coast Guard and Narcotics Control Bureau, 6 Pakistani nationals were nabbed with a huge quantity of drugs worth approximately $58 million. The boat was apprehended about 350 kilometers from Gujarat into the Arabian Sea. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. 8-ship testing sea corridor carries 200 tons of food for Gaza from Cyprus. Prime Minister Netanyahu reiterates to press ahead with Rafah offensive despite rift with Biden. South African conservation group prepares to rewild 2,000 white rhinos. And Barcelona advances to the Champions League quarter-finals for the first time in 4 years.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on, Nepal Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal Prachanda is scheduled to seek a vote of confidence from Parliament on Wednesday. The vote of confidence to come days after Prime Minister Prachanda forged a new alliance with the unified Marxist-Leninist, the Communist Party of Nepal. Prachanda, a leader of the Mao Center Communist Party of Nepal, on Sunday sent a letter to the Parliament Secretariat indicating that he has severed ties with the Nepali Congress. According to Nepal's constitutional provisions, a Prime Minister has to take a vote of confidence after an ally withdraws support to the ruling coalition. Prachanda is required to prove his majority after he lost the support of the previous ally. And moving on, the United States expects members of Haiti's Presidential Transition Council to be appointed in the next 24 to 48 hours. Haiti's Prime Minister said earlier that he agreed to resign once a transitional Presidential Council is created and a new interim Prime Minister is named. The planned Presidential Transition Council, announced after high-level meetings of Caribbean leaders in Jamaica on Monday, is aimed at representing diverse sectors of Haitian society. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller said that the council will then take steps to appoint an interim Prime Minister of Haiti, adding that Washington expects an agreement would be reached in the very near future.
Under the terms of the agreement that was announced yesterday, we expect that the members of the Transitional Council will be appointed in the next 24 to 48 hours, and then they will take the step to appoint an interim Prime Minister in the near future after that.
Meanwhile, the UN Secretary-General has taken note of the agreement reached by Haitian stakeholders on a transitional governance agreement. The UN, through its mission, will continue to support Haiti on its path towards peaceful, credible, participatory and inclusive elections. He also emphasized the need for all Haitian stakeholders to act responsibly and implement the agreement to restore the country's democratic institutions.
The support force is not being run by the UN. It is important that not everything fall on the shoulders of one country. It is important that others step up. Also, and we've had offers and expressions of intent from a number of countries, and we also need more financial support for the force.
Well, the resignation of Haiti's Prime Minister Ariel Henry has opened a new path for the Caribbean island, which has been plunged into a spiral of violence and instability over the past few weeks. As DD's Latin American correspondent Maritrina Mena explains, Haiti is getting ready for the formation of a transitional council.
The acting president and prime minister of Haiti has agreed to step down in his duties and make way for new authorities. The decision comes after several Caribbean leaders gathered in Jamaica in order to find a peaceful resolution to the country's political and social crisis. The new transitional council has two main obligations: to appoint an interim prime minister and a new electoral council. It's been reported that it will be formed by 7 voting members, including representatives from Haiti's major political parties and members of the society, along with 2 observers. The prime minister, who is stranded in Puerto Rico, has been prevented from returning to this country. His office says the airport is encircled. Gang groups, who control about 80% of the capital Port-au-Prince, had demanded the resignation of Henry, saying they want a new leadership. For 2 weeks, heavily armed civilians have caused chaos across the capital attacking police stations, the presidential palace, and freeing thousands of inmates. Ariel Henry was appointed in 2021 after the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse, but Haiti has not held elections since 2016, deepening its political instability. The goal is to call for presidential elections in 2024 and help to ease the unrest in the poorest country of the Western Hemisphere. The United Nations warned Tuesday that Haiti is on the brink of a devastating hunger crisis. Maritrini Mena in Caracas, reporting for DD India.
And the South Korean government has started to dispatch military doctors and public health physicians from Monday to fill the medical gap left by over 10,000 trainees and junior doctors on strike. According to the Ministry of Health and Welfare, 20 military surgeons along with 138 public health doctors will be assigned to 20 hospitals. The medical workers will mainly conduct the operation of severe and emergency patients. The ministry has sent advance license revocation notices to nearly 5,000 resident and intern doctors who are absent from duty and is sending the same notice to more striking doctors. The Presidential Office of South Korea stated on the same day that the government's determination to implement healthcare reforms remains unchanged. Well, U.S. President Joe Biden won enough delegates on Tuesday to seal the Democratic Party's nomination, while Donald Trump was expected to clinch the Republican Party's nomination later on Wednesday as 4 states held contest, including Georgia. Georgia is significant for Trump as it is the battleground where he faces criminal charges for his efforts to overturn the state's 2020 results. The outcome is essentially predetermined after Trump's last remaining rival for the Republican nomination, Nikki Haley, ended her presidential campaign following Trump's dominant performance last week on Super Tuesday. Both men have already turned their attention to the November 5th general election. Post-finalization, it would be the first U.S. presidential election rematch in the nearly 70 years. And a ship carrying 200 tons of aid for Gaza left Cyprus on Tuesday in a pilot project to open a sea corridor to deliver supplies. The charity ship Open Arms was seen sailing out of Larnaca port, towing a barge containing flour, rice and protein. The voyage to Gaza takes about 15 hours, but a heavy tow barge could considerably lengthen the trip, possibly up to 2 days. Cyprus, the European Union state closest to the Israel-Hamas conflict, is just over 200 miles northwest of Gaza. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reiterated on Tuesday that Israel would press forward with its military campaign into Rafah in the southern Gaza Strip.
We will destroy Hamas, free our hostages, and ensure that Gaza doesn't ever pose a threat to Israel again. We will finish the job in Rafah while enabling the civilian population to get out of harm's way.
And Netanyahu's comments came as European Union leaders plan to urge Israel not to launch a ground operation in Rafah, according to draft conclusions of an upcoming summit scheduled for 21st March and 22nd of March. And news from around the world, a man hijacks a bus at a bus station and shot 2 in Rio. Rio police said the wounded were taken to a hospital while a special operation force was negotiating with the man holding the rest of the passengers hostage. After 3 hours, the kidnapper handed himself to the authorities and no hostages were injured. Surfers braved the cold waters to ride a large surge wave down Britain's River Severn. The Severn Bore is a tidal surge in the Severn estuary, where the River Severn meets the Bristol Channel. A bore is a surge of tidal water that moves upriver, forming fast-paced waves that surfers and kayakers can ride. South African conservation group prepares to rewild 2,000 white rhinos. African Parks aims to rewild about 200 rhinos per year within the next 10 years to various protected areas across the continent. Poaching remains a severe threat in South Africa, with 499 rhinos poached in 2023, according to the government data, an increase from the previous year. And on to some sports updates now. Barcelona on Tuesday reached the Champions League quarter-finals for the first time in 4 years with a thrilling 3-1 home win over Napoli. In the last 16-second leg, that gave them a 4-2 aggregate victory. Early goals by Fermin Lopez and Joan Cancelo set the host on their way. And after Amir Rahmani cut the deficit before the break, Robert Lewandowski wrapped up the win with a late third. Napoli had never beaten Barca in their previous 5 meetings, and it turned out to be a repeat of the 2020 Champions League meeting with a 3-1 home win for the Spanish side after a 1-1 draw in Naples. And one of the most prestigious polo tournament in Delhi, the Northern India Polo Championship, will commence today in Jaipur Polo Ground in New Delhi. The championship represents polo of the highest standard played anywhere in the country. It is one of the 5 open championships in the country. BMC advisors organized the polo ball function to mark the opening ceremony of the biggest polo 14 Golds Championship of India on Monday. The 4-day tournament will see 3 teams: Jindal Panthers, Rajasthan Polo Club and Vimal Achievers playing for the title. All the team owners and players were present in the polo ball and were very excited for participating in the biggest polo championship of India. In every team, there are 1 foreign player given the stature of the championship and to be governed by foreign empires.
बहुत एक्साइटमेंट है, टीम बहुत अच्छी है और एसोसिएटेड है हम नवीन जी के साथ, जिंदल पैंथर्स के साथ. तो ओवरऑल टीम बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग है. सैंटियागो इज़ 6 गोलर है. नवीन जी बेस्ट प्लेयर है. सिमरन, सिद्धांत, all are great players. So I'm really excited for this tournament, and I think we have a very good team, especially associated with Jindal Panthers. They are great.
टूर्नामेंट बहुत ही ज़बरदस्त होगा. एक तो पूरे टूर्नामेंट की अगर बात करें नॉर्दर्न इंडिया बीएमसी नॉर्दर्न इंडिया पोलो कप की, तो 14 गोल्ड टूर्नामेंट है. तो हाईएस्ट गोल्ड टूर्नामेंट इंडिया का है, तो वैसे ही एंथुसियाज्म बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाता है. ऊपर से टीम प्लेयर्स बहुत ज़बरदस्त हैं जो ज़्यादा हैंडीकैप वाले हैं. मतलब 14 गोल का मतलब है कि सारी टीमों में जो है हाईएस्ट कैलिबर के प्लेयर्स खेल रहे हैं. तो हमें पूरी उम्मीद है कि 16th वाला जो बीएमसी पोलो कप है वो हम ही जीतेंगे. बाकी नॉर्दर्न इंडिया पोलो कप एक से एक टीमें हैं, हम देखते हैं कौन जीतता है.
Yeah, we're very excited. We're regular goers to the polo, but yeah, very, very much looking forward to the final this Sunday. A sport that's, I suppose, for the elite, because it's very expensive, as you'd probably know in India, to have 5-6 horses per rider per game. So yeah, but yeah, it's very much loved in Australia.
All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Kurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.